Hey guys, this is Locke. In this video, I'm going to talk about two things that were different with the Season 2 release of this game. And the two things, the first one is going to be very quick and easy to talk about. It's going to be about proficiencies, how to raise proficiencies for heroes. And the second thing is, which is mostly what this video is going to be about, is about the new pet system, the upgrades to the pets. So regarding proficiencies, the reason I'm actually cutting it short is because a lot of it is going to be changed. Currently, they have changed how proficiencies used to work before, where whenever you would run units to take on the field exploration, all four units get a little bit of proficiency for each run. Now they've changed it that this doesn't actually give any proficiencies anymore. Instead, whenever you complete one run of this field exploration, you get some proficiency potions. And you can raise heroes' proficiencies using that potion, which you can find through the screen, the transcend screen. So you go there, and then you would give however many potions you want, and you can just do that if you want to fill it up as fast as possible, and you can raise proficiencies that way. Now, I don't want to spend too much time talking about this particularly because this is changing. Like, they have decided that the amount of proficiencies from these potions are too little, so they have decided to increase that, and it's coming in a patch very soon. But at the same time, there are some other things that we can talk about in regards to proficiencies. We still do get proficiencies from the dungeons and raids, and in my opinion, the fastest way to gain proficiencies is to basically run this stage. Basically, you load up 8 characters that don't have any proficiencies at all, or that don't have max proficiencies, and you either run the single battle or the clears if you have clear tickets, if you have extra items. Basically, this is one of the easiest ways to do it. And so for me personally, I've been running a lot of this because I had a lot of these tickets saved up, and I also had some of the clear tickets saved up as well. So I was able to farm proficiencies a little bit using this. And then they've also released this pack, and I did get it, but I don't really recommend it. I think it's a little bit of a waste. I don't think the value is there, but I wanted to see. I hoped it was better value than I thought, but it's not. So basically, this value, it's $37 Canadian, and you get 100 fine proficiency potions for that amount of money. And that takes you, if you got a brand new character, that takes you to about almost to level 6 proficiency, so from 0 to level 6. I thought it would be at least to like level 10 or something. $37 for that, I don't really think it's worth it. I think if you are gonna get it, I think the best time to get it is now because after now you can actually farm these proficiency potions. Like, I still have 4,000 maps that I'll be doing, and a bunch of these green maps as well. And from that, I should be getting the proficiency potions, and I should have a good stockpile of them. So when new units get released, I can use that. I don't need to spend this. So the absolute best case, in my opinion, to get them would be right now to try to get Ace or Lena's proficiency up as soon. Like, basically, if you want to get their proficiency up as soon as possible, this is probably the best way to do it. And if you are, if you're not going to do it now, I really wouldn't recommend doing it later. I think the best value for this is right now, and it's still, in my opinion, a bad value. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say about proficiencies. I think this should have a major revamp, or at least a lot faster way of acquiring them with the field exploration changes coming up. So that's all I really wanted to say about these proficiencies. As I said, it was just a very little thing that I wanted to talk about, but people have been asking me, they've been asking how I got my ace to be uh, proficiency level 8 already, and I mean, I basically kind of cheated, I guess, right? So anyway, let's move on. So the next thing that I want to talk about, and I want to spend the majority of this video talking about, is about pets. Now, they have basically completely redone this, and let's look at an example. It's the easiest way to talk about it. So if you look at John He, she now has 2 actives. Before this, 2 actives was combined into one, and what the old active used to do is it used to um, basically everything. So it used to it used to recover the HP, it used to remove debuffs, and it used to decrease ally skill cooldown by 40%, all in one skill. And if you're playing manually, like for example, if you're tackling a boss and you're manually controlling your characters and your pet, then you can basically use this whenever you want, right? But in auto modes, like for example in Arena, before you didn't have the flexibility of choosing when the skill is used. So the skill might be used, I think it had a certain HP percentage, maybe like when it was below 75% or something, the skill would automatically be used. Now that's no longer the case. I mean, we can go to we can look at this on a more detailed basis in a little bit, but I just want to give an overview, right? And there were usually two kinds of legendary pets. So they would have an active skill like the one I just showed you, or they would have something like this one. And this one, unfortunately, didn't actually change too much. It would have been nice if the secondary effect of all allies are immune to damage for 4 seconds was also put in a different skill, but we're kind of stuck with how it was. They didn't change this at all. But you can still choose when you want it to happen. You can still choose. You can choose exactly when you want it to happen. It's no longer default at like say 75% HP or anything. But there is a really big change, and that happened in my opinion with Karen. So before, she used to have the skill where she would recover the HP of all allies, and she would also have this passive effect as an active. Like basically, she would revive fallen allies with her active skill. And for Arena, this was really, really hard to use because this would automatically happen at 75% HP, which means that none of your allies have really died. So when she uses the skill in Arena, it was like garbage basically because it basically wasn't a thing you had to consider at all. Like it was basically just an HP heal skill, and the other effect of the skill wasn't considered. However, now they moved it into the passive, and it's became really, really good. Basically, it's the same effect as if everybody on your team has one piece of the revive accessory on, which I think is a phenomenal pet skill to have. Like I thought that was insane. Before the Kirin pet, this guy had that effect, and he still has that effect, and is an even better effect. Basically, increases the revived it increases the HP of fallen allies by 60%, whereas Karen is only 20%, so he has an even better effect. And I mean, his active skills are way better as well. But it's a similar, like the main thing that I knew about Karen before was that he revives allies. You have to be careful fighting him because this is a very powerful effect to have. And now Karen has basically like a mini version of that. And in my opinion, that makes her one of the best pets now. So I've been using her in Arena since since the revamp, and I have really enjoyed the effect of it. There is one thing to note that it does not stack with the revive accessory. So I've tried it where I had this pet and I've had like Wilder with the revive accessory, and he only revived once. He did not revive a second time. So just keep that in mind. And now we will actually like talk about the details of this and how we can kind of make use of it. So if we go into our setup here, and we're using one of the pets like I talked about before, like her, who has these two skills, the recover HP, remove debuffs, and decrease all ally skill on cooldown. So this one, what you really want to do with this one, if you're using this, is you want to count to see how many seconds it is before all of your skills are used. Like for example, if you've set it that you want this to be used automatically at 5 seconds, then maybe in 5 seconds all of your units have only used say 2 of the 3 skills. So she's actually decreasing the cooldown by 40% before your full skill rotation has taken place. And there's no other effect used with this, right? Like this is the only time it's being used. You're not getting an additional benefit, so you really want to use this when all of your skills are used and all of them are on cooldown, because that's basically the best way to maximize this, right? And you might also even want to give like an extra second or two or something to account for people that get stunned or something in the beginning, right? So it's not a bad idea to give like maybe 2 extra seconds or something just in case shit happens basically, right? So I'm not using this for my team right now, so I haven't really recorded the number of seconds that's like the best to use. But and everyone's skills is always different as well. Like sometimes if you're using, for example, Rudy, the L Rudy, he uses skill 1 right away before he even moves. So he might actually get his skills on cooldown before somebody else, which has to go through 3 rotations of active skills where you're attacking an enemy and also get attacks in. So it all depends on the units you're using. You really have to time yourself as well and see what is the best time to be using this when all of your units are on cooldown. And then this one. So here it's really interesting what you want to do because it's the entire party, right? Not just like one or two units. So you could do something like this. Put it at 50%. Where is it? 50% because I mean this skill already recovers HP of all allies by 50% anyway. So having this means they all get a full heal. But the only problem is sometimes everyone focuses on one unit, and that unit might be killed before the skill goes off, because if for example the enemy El Chris or something gets two hits of his debuffs on you, then your one unit dies, right? And I mean, if that happens, healing didn't really help them anyway. They're still gonna die. But sometimes all of the enemy focuses on one character and kills them before. And doesn't really damage any of your other units. So in that case, it might be better to have it a little bit higher. So you really have to see what's the best place to put this at. I haven't really played around with it too much, but I think I'd probably go at something like say 60% or 65%. I think that's probably, or maybe even whatever this says. Like, what is this number right at the middle? 65. Yeah, I think that's probably, I think, where I would leave it at to try to combat both sides of it, because I do feel like my tank often takes the most amount of damage, and he's also, I have other three units that all rush forward. The tank's the only one that's behind, so for me it does make sense that he takes a lot more damage than everyone else. They're not taking like heavy AoE damage or anything, so I think this is probably a good place for me to personally stop it. So that's probably what I would do if I was using a pet like that. If I was using a pet like this, I mean, I only have one skill to use anyway. Now the benefit is that I can choose exactly when to use it instead of having it always set at like 70 or 75%, which was what the default was before. So what would I do here? I think I would probably go a little bit more like closer to 50, I think, because I would, I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I don't use this skill often, so I'm wondering when the best time to use it is. Like, it might even be best to use it like very very high, like say something like uh whatever the highest is. So like say 99%. Like, it might make sense to use that at 99% because right when the battle starts, everyone starts off with 4 seconds of immunity, and your enemies are probably going to use skills first before they get a chance to use their their remove buff skills, right? So you basically get 4 seconds of immunity right at the start, and you might actually get your enemies to waste a couple of skills by doing something like this, 100% or 99%, whichever, right? So that's not a bad idea in my opinion. You could that might be something that you can use, or you might want to try to go for some staying power. You might want to go for like the lower end, maybe maybe like if you can time it right, maybe you can get this skill to go off right before your enemy, sorry, right before you proc the rage effect, because rage procs whenever your HP is below 10%, right? But that's only for this one unit. So if you can time it something like say uh I don't know what it would be, 50%, maybe 40%, I don't know, but basically you get this 4 seconds of immunity, and then when they use remove buffs or waited it out and attack you again, then your rage procs and you get another like say 6 seconds or whatever it is of immunity a second time. So that might be like an interesting way of comboing this. I haven't used this kind of pet often in arena, so it's a very limited amount of experience I'm talking at. But those are the ideas that I can think of and how you can best use this pet in my opinion. Um, and finally, I want to talk about Karen, which I've been using a lot. And I mean, there isn't really anything I can, this is all I can control. When the heal goes off, I probably, just stick at 65%. That's probably the best setup for the team that I have right now. But I should probably play around with it a little bit more. However, because I'm using Karen, I just want to go over the accessories that I'm using now to uh, because I don't need to use revive accessories anymore. So if I take a look at my unit, so I'm basically using this Indomitable on, well, everyone that I can. How many do I have? So I have one, two, three pieces of Indomitable that I have on these three. On Ace, I have Rage, I have Lagarthi, and I have Mirage. I really like the secondary effect of Mirage now, which gives you like an undermovable immunity debuff. So before I used to use like the Eileen pet, right? And the Eileen pet, what she would do, what I really like that she does was that she removes debuffs. So now that I don't have that anymore, I instead have the Mirage accessory. I have one piece on everyone, which basically acts like I have the Eileen pet. I've basically replaced it with this effect, but I like this effect better because it gives you a 3 second immunity to debuffs. Actually, I don't know if it's immunity or it's like invulnerability, right? Like you can't be damaged for 3 seconds and you're immune and you can't get that removed, which I think is a pretty powerful effect. So I like, Mirage over the pet effect. So that's why I've decided to go with that instead of going with like say one piece of immortality on everyone. I think this is better. If I had more pieces of the Lagarthi, I would actually use it because I feel like Lagarthi is one of the best sets now, with that fights are lasting longer, and you actually get so many opportunities to be able to, pull off the what's it called, like the ultimates off of people. So I feel like Lagarthi is really nice, and if I had more of those pieces, I would have probably used it, but I only have two. So that's all I'm using. I do like Rage on everyone except for Chris Plus because he already has that from his passive. And then I feel like this is an overall good item to have as well. It decreases the damage received and also increases the ultimate skill gauge as well. So I feel like the combination of that is a really good piece to have. So that's how I outfitted my team. There are some other things you can consider. Like you can actually consider using the transcended accessories now because I feel like like defense has become so high. Like fights are lasting really long. Defense has become so high that using a piece like one piece of transcended accessory, especially if you have somebody like a Karen pet that you don't need to bring revive accessories anymore, this might actually be okay because you're drastically going to improve your damage output. If you're using it on somebody like Evan, like if you have Evan that you're using on your team and you're using transcended, one piece of transcended on Evan, I think you would get a lot of mileage out of that. Another piece you can consider using is the time acceleration, again because fights are lasting for so long that having somebody that can cycle their skills really fast and have many chances of using their skills, it actually does now starting to pay off because fights are lasting for so long. So these are two things that I did not recommend before. I considered them, purely PvE, but I think there is cases for them. I mean, for me right now, I think this is probably the setup that I would use in terms of the accessories. But in the future, like I'm going to keep an eye out and actually consider using transcended or time acceleration accessories on my units because I think they might actually start having places to use them in these arena matches. So that's really all I have to say. Actually, there's one more thing I have to say, and I mentioned it on my previous video, but just in case you didn't see the video about Ace, I want to mention it now again. And so this is about the guild pet. So I've seen a lot of people using Ace in Arena and they really want to go first. And one thing you can do to get a significant boost over your opponent is to use this pet. The second active basically increases your attack speed by 35% for 10 seconds. This is actually even more than the passive effect that you get from other L pets. Like for example, if you look at her, she only gets a 21% attack speed boost. So by using this and having it go first at, right when the battle starts at 0 seconds, you can basically give your entire team a significant boost in attack speed. And if it comes down to whoever gets off their skills first, and you have this pet and your opponent doesn't, you have it, right? So this might also be a pet that people can consider if they want to use. Personally, for me, it's not something that I'm going to consider. And I will tell you why. Because I am probably going to be at, like, say, 5,500 arena. I'm already at 51. Now I'm probably going to be in the 5,500 ballpark. And I will probably not have the best equipment to go first. Like, even if I get the guild pet to, to try to boost up my attack speed and try to, like, battle it out and go first, I don't think I have the setup and the optimized setup to have the maximum attack speed. So I'll probably in most of my fights go second anyway. So instead of trying to use that pet and trying to go first, I'm going to try to go for a different strategy where I'm trying to, I'm going to assume that I'm going to go second and try to survive it, right? Or counterattack it, or use things like Mirage to try to deal with the, try to deal with getting CC'd first. So that's the strategy that I'm going for because I don't think I have the the kit and the tools to be able to go first at like say 5500 plus maybe like 6000 plus arena rating. I don't think I have the like if I consistently stayed lower, like if I was always at like say 4500 or something, I can probably using that copy a strategy that does that and be confident that I can kind of outspeed most of the people in that range. But I don't think I'll be able to pull it off in the 5500 range, so I'm not going for that. So you have to decide as well, like who are you fighting? Do you think you can outgear people? If you don't have, for example, a good set like this, like if you don't have a an attack speed set, and if you don't have like the maximum in attack speed enchants, which I don't even on my uh, accessories. Actually, I think this one doesn't. And do I have attack speed here? Oh, I do have a little bit here, but it's not the maximum, right? Like if I had 20 attack speed and somebody else has 40, it doesn't matter. Like I lose, right? Like you have to have the maximum because if you want to go for this, and I feel like the people at this bracket would try to min max it. So I can't compete. So that's the reason why I'm not going for that guild pet. But see where you're at. See if you think you have a good chance of using this pet and going first and using that as a strategy. And if you want to know more about the strategy, going ace and going first, please check out my previous video when I'm talking about ace because I go into it in a lot more detail there. And I don't want to, repeat the whole thing, but I thought at least a pet piece was worth putting into here. So, unfortunately, the other pets, like the blue pets, don't seem to have, uh, you know, like an update. They still seem kind of the same. I mean, you can now, if you're using them um, in the arena, you can again choose when exactly you want it to be used. So if you're using the Wilder pet or something, you can whatever I said about Rachel, I guess you can also apply it to Wilder as well, and try to get a benefit there. If you are using either Rachel or Wilder right at the beginning though for that 4 second immunity, then you are kind of wasting the heal, right? Because if you're getting it right at the beginning when HP is 100, then you forego the heal because you're not being healed. You're already at full HP. So it's something else you have to kind of think of and see if it's worth it to get that 4 second immunity right at the beginning, or maybe it's not. It's up to you. Think about it. As I said, I don't have enough experience with it myself to see which is better, but I wanted to give my thoughts on the matter, and these are my ideas. The L plus pets, those are insane. I mean, if I had one, I would use one, and I don't. So most people that I know that have an L pet, they have only one. So I mean, there isn't really too much for me to talk about because just use the L plus pet that you have. If you have more than one L plus pet, I mean, I don't really think you need my help to to do this because you probably have like maxed out everything. So anyway, I hope this video helps. I hope it gives you some clarity and some ideas on how to maximize your pet to use in arena. And that's it for this video. If you guys have questions or comments, please leave me a comment below, and I will do my best to get back to you. Take care now, guys. I will see you guys next time. Bye.